Temperatures dropping to the low 40s. Our Tuesday still chilly, not as windy, but upper 40s, and then we warm up a bit more heading into the middle of the week. That's your forecast. From the Surf Pickleball and Kitchen, I'm WSIC meteorologist Chase Myers.
Spotless cleaning. How can we make your day spotless? Yes, we make not just toilets spotless, but also counters, cabinets, and kitchens. We make your whole house, your whole day spotless. My grandparents taught me the details, not the things, make your home and your life luxurious. Yes, they raised me in Brazil. And that's why we will never charge you extra for baseboards. Let me help you be a diva a few hours a week. SpotlessCleaningNC.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
She's a CMS graduate, a mom, and a technology leader who believes every family deserves great schools, strong support, and a real seat at the table. From Davidson to Cornelius, Huntersville to North Charlotte, she knows our communities want the same thing. Schools that work, voices that matter, and leadership that listens. This work is personal. She grew up here. She's raising her children here. And now, she's leading here, using data, heart, and real community connection to help level up public education. So let's log in, level up, and lead forward together. Welcome to the Community Classroom. Here's your host, CMS Board of Education District 1 Representative, Dr. Charlitta Hatch.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Community Classroom, the place where we slow it down, break it down, and help families feel informed, connected, and confident navigating our schools and our community. I am so excited about today's episode because we are really going to talk about parent, teachers, community, family engagement. And we know that the family voice is critical always, but especially in this season. From a school board perspective, we're talking about the budget. We're talking about how we're going to streamline our programs, our literacy goals, teacher retention. But that voice of the families is so critical to make sure that we're actually serving our students the way our families would like. And so I have with me today Dr. Leroy Wray, who is the North Carolina PTA president-elect, among so many other things. So welcome to my class.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes. And so as we kind of get to know you today, what people will find is you're a unicorn like me. So you're from here. You were raised here. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience in CMS as a student?
So let's start off with Beatty-Ford Road Tough. As I tell my kids on a regular basis, Beatty-Ford Road Tough. So I grew up here in Charlotte, so I am a unicorn when I meet people. So my experience here in Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, I went to Statesville Road, and I went to Ranson. I started at West Charlotte, but ended up transferring to a private school for other reasons. But my experiences have been great as a student. And then as a education leader, I worked in multiple schools here in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. And now my kids go to school. They go to Irwin and Piedmont. I'm about to mess up here. Irwin and Piedmont. So my experience has been good. The one thing that I always say about CMS, we are a large school district. And so sometimes that leaves out some students. Just because it's so big. And so if you do not have anyone advocating for you, sometimes you can be left out. And so that's kind of where I sit. I'm always about what's best for kids. That's kind of my motto when I speak in front of individuals or speak in front of families is, I want to do what's best for your kids because I'm going to do what's best for my kids. And so it's all about how we're going to advocate. And so I think there's a lot of parts of CMS that you get that advocacy, but we want to make sure that it's done for all the kids that are in CMS.
So I went to Statesville Road.
Oh, Statesville Road.
And, my parents are right across the street from Ranson.
Yes.
But Leroy is kind of like Big Brother because My husband and my brother played basketball with your brother.
Yeah, state champions, right?
Yes, state champions, same
Football,
AAU team, and all of that. So you're Batesford Road Tough. I guess that makes me Statesville Road Tough.
There you go.
So when you think about your educational journey, you said it was for different reasons, but I'm curious, what made, if you know, your parents make the decision to pull you from West Charlotte to move to your other school?
So, kind of the decision was twofold. One was sports, and then the second one, trying to give me intentional educational focus. I had some difficulties in my learning, and that's why I have a heart for students to this day. That I did have some struggles when it came to reading, and so my mother making sure that I got the best educational opportunity, wanted a small setting. So that's why she ended up getting me to a place where I ended up going to so that I could get that individual intention when it came to reading. Literacy is so important. That's why I got my dissertation on when it comes to reading and making sure that specifically males and then even specific Black males get the focus when it comes to literacy. I have a son, and so want to make sure that that focus is there. And so I understand the struggles that I had when it came to what we call the science of reading, struggling a little bit. And so making sure that my mom, making sure that I had that opportunity to catch up. I did excel. And so going back to the work that we do in CMS and the work that I've done across the state when it comes to not only in CMS, but across the state, when we focus on literacy and making sure that our males are getting that instruction when it comes to reading, because reading takes you so far outside of math and science, but you can't do math and science without the reading piece, and so that is so important. And so that's kind of where my mom, she was my advocate, and so that's why I say we got to be an advocate for our students, and so that's where I stand in that place for our kids.
And so do you feel like that was the moment that you realized that family engagement changes outcomes, or were there different experience after your own experience that's helped you to get to the point where you're like, this matters?
I think it's been everything. Just my experience leaving CMS, so many friends that I actually ran into a friend the other day. I was like, hey, you're like Leroy. I was like, hey, how you doing? She was like, you left and we never saw you again. And
that was before cell phones and social media.
That was before cell phones.
Because you're much older than me.
I am much older than you. But yeah, so going back to the question, yeah, you could throw me off there. Yeah, so I think there's a lot. So when I got to Durham, North Carolina Central, Eagle Pride, for all those Eagles that are listening, I was thrown into doing volunteering work, and it was in the school building, and I saw family engagement and what that looks like. And so family engagement is so important because when I speak now, you will hear me say, and we can talk some more about this on the break, your presence is a present. And so that's kind of what I run with these days when I talk to families, when I talk to kids, when I talk to moms and dads, no matter what, I always say, listen, you being present is a present, and it goes so far from there.
That is so good. I am so excited to continue this conversation with Dr. Leroy Wray, but the bell is ringing and it's time to switch classes. So please join us on time for our next class.
We'll be right back with the Community Classroom, community perspectives, school success stories, and education insight you can use. Only on WSIC.
Well, I'll tell you what, 40s after 60s are rough, especially with the wind. It's a chilly start to the new week. High temperatures even with sunshine only into the low 40s, and that wind makes it even chillier. Overnight temperatures drop into the low 40s. Our Tuesday still chilly, not as windy, but upper 40s, and then we warm up a bit more heading into the middle of the week. That's your forecast. From the Surf Pickleball and Kitchen, I'm WSIC meteorologist Chase Myers.
We speak fluent Fix-It. House Doctors of Mooresville handles repairs, renovations, property maintenance, and more. Ceiling fans, shelves, full room makeovers. We have the experience, tools, and insured background check team to transform your space. 1-year guarantee ensures it's done right the first time. Visit housedoctors.com/Mooresville.
Here's your WSIC Community Calendar.
Mooresville Community Children's Theater presents Honk Jr., the joyful musical retelling of The Ugly Duckling, filled with humor, heart, and messages about self-confidence and celebrating what makes you different. Catch performances February 28th at 1 and 4 p.m. and March 1st at 2 p.m. at the Joe V. Knox Auditorium in Mooresville. It's a perfect live theater outing for families. Learn more and get tickets at mooresvillechildrenstheater.org.
If your weekend plans include browsing, sipping, and maybe leaving with a stack of new reads, Fred and June's Books is celebrating the grand opening of its new Main Street location on February 28th from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 162 North Main Street in downtown Mooresville. The day includes mystery gift cards, free stickers, a golden ticket giveaway, mimosas, and more. There's something for book lovers of all ages. Details are available at fredandjunesbooks.com.
And while you're planning ahead for spring, reality is it's also time to think about summer. The second annual Summer Camp Expo takes place February 28th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Charles Mack Citizen Center in Mooresville. Meet local camp providers, explore sports, arts, science, and specialty programs, and compare day and overnight options all in one place. Admission is free, and it's the easiest way for families to plan the best summer ever. Find more information through the Town of Mooresville Parks and Recreation or at mooresvillenc.gov.
For even more local events, family activities, and things happening around Lake Norman, visit liveworkplaylkn.com.
That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
We're back with more The Community Classroom, breaking down what's happening across Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools with Dr. Charlitta Hatch, right here on WSIC.
Welcome back, class. Thank you for being on time. We ended with such a powerful statement where you said multiple times, your presence is a present. So I want to pick back up there.
Yeah, so that's something that I always say. If you ever hear me speak in public, I will probably say that in front of, and so you'll be like, oh, I already heard him say that. Yes, I'm going to say it again. But recently, with the passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend L. Jackson, I saw that he had made a statement about that in his time as a leader within our community. And so that even put some fire behind me in the work that I do with NCPTA and the work that I do in the school building on just making sure that parents understand that them being present, that you being present is more than any gift that you can buy for your kids. It is a present just to see the kids to see you, they smile, they get to hug your parents, they get to see your, from basketball games to any kind of award ceremonies to just eating lunch with them. It goes so far, and it makes a difference in the students. And so I just ask anytime a parent can be available, come and show up. They love to see their superhero at the school building. So definitely parents, as you're listening, take some time out to come and show up at the schools. Yeah.
Definitely. I love that. But what if I'm working,
Gotcha.
I'm doing the best that I can, and it is just not feasible for me to be in the building when the building is running?
Right. And so that's where I guess when we talk about NCPTA and PTA in general, we do give opportunities for those who do have that opportunity to be in the building and be present, that you can, not going to say adopt, but you can support students, that they can see, hey, I have another hero that I can lean on to or lean into and they provide support to me coming to read, or my favorite, carpool duty, dad's on duty. Getting to open the doors and just, good morning, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? You get to know the kids. And so for those who do have that opportunity, that's there. And for those parents that are not able to do that, there's no knock against you at all. But you have to find a way that you can still be present. So it's just reading at night with your students. It's doing homework with your students. It's just giving a hug and make sure they have breakfast in the morning. So just being present. Because I know if it's a championship basketball, football game, you will find ways to be there. So being able to be there for the educational piece, that's very important also, because the education goes longer than with sports. We know sports, sometimes it runs out. And so we want to make sure that we are there when it comes to the educational piece too, because then that moves them further in life when it comes to reading, math, and any other opportunities that they have when it comes to education.
So what do people misunderstand about PTA?
All right, so I'm a whole PTA guy. I've been doing PTA for 25 years now, from when I was a teacher to just being a teacher to an administrator to now on a state level, national level, and then just as a parent. The one thing that we always think that it's just moms, and that moms are doing bake sales and we're just raising money, but it's more than that. PTA is all about advocacy. The North Carolina PTA actually started here in Charlotte. Over a little bit over 100 years, started here in Charlotte, one of the biggest nonprofits that we have here when it comes to involvement and volunteering. And so PTA is more about advocating. So if there's something that you are missing and you want to be done, PTA, that's what we're about. So it's literacy. I talk about my son. I talk about my personal experience when it comes to literacy. We want to make sure that we have literacy. We have teachers. We want to make sure teachers get paid. We want to make sure that education is a tier 1 job that you seek out. That's what PTA does. We want to make sure that we have seat belts. Back in the day, that's what PTA did. We were advocating for that. So PTA is about advocating for the needs of our students in the school building and making sure that they are protected, taking care of school safety, nutrition, like I said, literacy. That is what PTA is about. So it's about that advocacy piece that is very important.
Thank you for that. So, when you're thinking about PTA and the advocacy inside the school walls, as you see maybe for your specific child or classroom, but what about on the state level? Because it does seem like some of the things that you're talking about does the PTA influence policy at the state level?
Yeah, we influence. So we get to meet with our state representatives, and for NCPTA we meet once a year as a whole group. But we're having conversations with our local representatives throughout the year. Next week I'll be in D.C. Where we get to meet with our federal representatives, and so we'll be speaking with them on advocacy on the things that we would like to see when it comes across the state. Again, supporting teachers, making sure teachers are being paid, nutrition, making sure that our kids are eating, literacy, advocacy just on school safety. So we talk about gun safety. We want to make sure that students are being safe, not only just with guns, but just safety in general. So internet safety, there's a lot of safety things that we just want to make sure that our kids. So not only we have the federal and the state, but we're always trying to connect with individuals that are representing us from the federal, state, and local levels. That's why I'm meeting with you today. I want to make sure that you know that, hey, we want to make sure that our kids are taken care of.
Noted. It's on the record.
Thank you.
So how does the PTA support student outcomes, not just school events? Because I do think what you said earlier around like the bake sale and Teacher Appreciation Week, people see it as like the feel-good culture stuff. But how does that translate to student outcomes and what the PTA does there?
So a lot of times the fundraising goes back to the schoolhouse, and so teachers, we'll make sure that we're supporting our teachers, encouraging our teachers, engaging our teachers, and so that's where a lot of that fundraising goes to, especially for our lower income schools. That allows for us to give some extra income to the school building, help support the teachers, the principals, in their engagement with teachers. And so those fundings. So teaching is a tough job. Let me rewind all the way back. Teaching is a tough job. And so we want to make sure that we have teachers every day. We want to make sure teachers are ready to show up for work every day to give our students the best education that they can provide. And so PTA does give that opportunity for us to give that opportunity for those teachers. And so when teachers are encouraged, they're engaged, then they're giving the best teaching education for our students. And so that makes, and when you're talking about output, they give us an output that makes, it's not always a number, but it as an administrator, being able to show up, teachers showing up every day is very important, because a sub is great. We love subs, but sometimes we need our teachers to be there every day, and then PTA is able to jump in and support those teachers. I think I answered that one.
Yes.
I feel like I mumbled a little bit about that. But,
no, it's great.
But it's very important for PTA to support our teachers there.
Yeah, and that it all works together, right? And so I really appreciate the way that you broke down just the impact of the events and how it goes back to the schools, and how when we invest in our schools, we're investing in our kids and therefore affecting those student outcomes. So perfect, spot on. Now, I got to tell you, I have talked to a couple of parents that feel like the PTA is like a clique, and they either, if they're single, they don't belong, or, it seems like it's already decided if like a new mom comes in. And I know you said it's not just about moms, but in these examples, that's what I'm talking about. So what would you tell a parent who feels like they're not welcome to the PTA?
Well, I would say that we start with communication. So if you're feeling that way, I think you definitely need to make sure that it's been known that you are having those difficulties with it, because we do get that from the NCPTA that, PTAs are just a clique. Or PTAs, they only get who they want to be in charge of the PTA. If you're trying to be if you're trying to advocate for your kids, if you're trying to support your community, you have to be able to communicate that to the local community and to your principal, and just letting them know that, listen, hey, I want to be a part of it too. And that's where I jump into it, because I know dads feel the same way. So that's how dads feel, like, oh, that's a mom thing, that's a clique, it's just an opportunity. No, we need dads too, because when I do car ride or open up door, dads on duty, I see so many dads, but they don't never want to come into the school building. They're scared to come into the school building because they think it's just it's a female run operation, and that they don't want to be a part of that at that point in time. So if someone is feeling that way, I definitely need them to communicate to their principal and see how they can get involved. But there's multiple ways that you can be involved. Even if you're not in the leadership piece, you still can be a part of the PTA. And then the other thing is, I think, building relationships. So you want to be able to build relationships, because a lot of times when you build those relationships, it helps with your teachers. Also, you build relationships with teachers and your students. If they have any problems, then you're able to have that connection with the teachers with them. So it's just an insight to the game of how education is played. And so that works there.
Awesome. All right, the bell is ringing. It's time to switch classes. See y'all on the other side.
Stay with us. The Community Classroom continues in moments with Dr. Charlitta Hatch, right here on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, I tell you what, 40s after 60s are rough, especially with the wind. It's a chilly start to the new week. High temperatures, even with sunshine, only into the low 40s, and that wind makes it even chillier. Overnight temperatures dropping to the low 40s. Our Tuesday still chilly, not as windy, but upper 40s, and then we warm up a bit more heading into the middle of the week. That's your forecast. From the Surf Pickleball and Kitchen, I'm WSIC meteorologist Chase Myers.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. In professional sports, athletes experience their dreams coming true when they make it to the highest level and play in marquee games. I wonder how often they intentionally pause during a game in order to soak in the moment and appreciate what is taking place. In life, we have to intentionally pause and have our own moments of appreciation by looking around and recognizing all the good in our lives. As followers of Jesus, our gratefulness should especially be overflowing because of his immense grace and the salvation he gives us. In Colossians, it encourages us to let your roots grow down into him and let your lives be built on him. Then your faith will grow strong in the truth you were taught, and you will overflow with thankfulness. Today, let's pause and praise God for everything he's already done. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
Keep winter cold outside with propane heat from GMB Energy. We provide cost-effective propane to cook meals and heat your home and water, even when the power goes out. For a limited time, save big with rebates, like up to $350 on cozy heat fireplaces and up to $450 on select Rinnai tankless water heaters. Visit one of our 9 locations. Call 855-LPG-PROS or visit gbenergy.com. GMB Energy, family-owned and NC Grow.
Looking to sell or buy in Huntersville or Lake Norman?
Hi, I'm Jeff Snide, owner and managing broker of Blue Oak Realty Group. Here's the truth. Your needs don't pause for the market. Whether you need more space, less space, or just the right fit, I'll help you create a smart strategy that makes sense for your family and your goals. With over a decade of experience right here in Lake Norman, I know this community, and I treat every client's goals like my own.
Call Jeff today or visit BlueOakRealtyGroup.com. Outstanding service, smart moves. That's Blue Oak Realty Group.
Friendly reminder, don't brake when you see the lake.
WSIC. Local starts here.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Not a great day on Wall Street. The Dow lost 822, S&P down 78, NASDAQ losing 259 points. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear from oil and gas companies trying to block lawsuits, seeking to hold the industry liable for billions of dollars in damage linked to climate change. The companies went to the Supreme Court after Colorado's highest court allowed a lawsuit from Boulder to proceed. The industry is facing dozens of lawsuits from state and local governments that argue the companies deceived the public about fossil fuels' contribution to climate change. CVS Health increased bonuses for regular corporate employees as new executives grew profitability. Bonuses for 2025 will be 42% above baseline levels, according to records reviewed by Bloomberg. That's a drastic reversal from last year when bonuses were more than 60% below targets. Eli Lilly is launching a new form of obesity medication that has a month's worth of doses in one injectable pen. Matt Piper, Bloomberg Radio.
The button pushing stops here.
WSIC. Local starts here. Welcome back to the Community Classroom, hosted by Dr. Charlitta Hatch. Insight, context, and community voices only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Welcome back, class. Thank you for getting back to class on time. We are here with Dr. Leroy Wray, and we've had some good conversations around sometimes it's the perception of the PTA and engagement and, the impact that the PTA can have on school culture. But in my role, being a school board member, how do you see school boards and PTAs working together, or do you?
All right. So before I got on here, I had a conversation with our president of the NCPTA, and she was like, make sure you say our mission. So I didn't say our mission. So we make every child's potential a reality. So I forgot to say that. That's what PTA is all about. We're making sure every child's potential is a reality. So when it comes to working with the local educational board, I think we see the same thing at the NCPTA board, that we're making every child's potential a reality. And if we're not doing that, if we're not doing what's best for students, then we have a problem from the school board and from the NCPTA board. Should be our goal. That's what we're trying to do, is make sure that we are touching our students and giving them the best opportunity to be successful in life. And so when we work with the local boards and we work with the state board, and as we work with some of our federal legislators, the thing that we want to make sure that we're saying and that we're all agreeing upon is what is best for our students. We know some students. Some have our own kids, but you at least know someone, and we want them to be successful. And so when we have those conversations, what things do we need to put in place to make sure that our students are successful? I always say that we need to pay our teachers more. I don't know any other way to say that. And so being able to have conversations and what that looks like, CMS has been blessed in the state of North Carolina to be one of the bigger states, and so we're able to provide. But I always look at some of the smaller districts, and I say, why would I want to go back to that district if they can't pay me to be a teacher? Why? I would just prefer to be in a Charlotte-Mecklenburg or be in a Wake County. Or something similar to Wake or Mecklenburg. And so being able to have those conversations is very important, because it's not just it's not just our Charlotte-Mecklenburg CMS or Wake. It's all the students, because we're going to have students that are moving into Charlotte-Mecklenburg, and if they're not provided the education that they need, because they didn't have a teacher, they only had a sub the whole time during their career, that's not helping anyone. You're going to pay for what you get. And so therefore, let's pay. And so that's the one thing that I definitely like to push, to make sure that we pay our teachers what they deserve. That this is a profession. This is not just a job. It is a profession. And so being able to have that communication with the boards, having that with our legislators, those who govern for us, the importance of education. Because some are able to buy a private school experience, but everyone is not. And so if you're not able to that, we still want to make sure that those students are being taken care of, they've been taken care of, and that they're getting that education.
That's so good. And I love how you called out, the work that we're doing at Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. Not only do we have our local county that also provides a supplement to the state, but you might be aware of the housing initiative that is ongoing as well, because one of the things that previous boards have heard is that housing was a barrier for our educators, where they could not live where they worked. And so there are creative things, but are there other things that, even as we continue to advocate for the state, that you would see from a school board perspective that maybe you want to make sure we know?
Yeah, so I think the housing thing is very important. When I worked with the state as a instructional leader for a district, that was one thing that they were trying to put in place also, because housing is expensive. But when it comes to any other things, I don't understand why it's a fight and a fuss and a pushback that we can't pay teachers pay. I mean, I think teachers should start off with $100,000. Now, this is me saying that. I don't have the money to pay the teachers, but I don't understand why that shouldn't be the first thing that we do for teachers. One, I think it would give you quality teachers. You would get more individuals interested in teaching and teaching. As parents, we teach on a regular basis, so parents can teach, but they were like, no, don't pay enough. As a male, the one thing that people was like, why you want to be a teacher? I love teaching. Always get an opportunity to teach in my classrooms. I go in the classroom and teach. But I don't get paid enough to run a family to be a teacher. And so that's my one push that I would always say. How can we find ways to pay teachers? How can we find ways to pay teachers?
Yep.
I like, no one can tell me that we can't do it, because I know there's a lot of funds that have been used, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole today, but no, there's ways that if we paid teachers we'll get quality education. Our students will get the best teachers. They get the best people in the building, scientists, mathematics individuals, English teachers, all the above, science, Spanish teachers, everything.
Yep.
But we just don't value that. And somebody's told me that you can look at somebody's budget and you see what they value.
Completely agree. And I think that advocacy at the state level is something that we all have to continue to do, since the state, sets the teacher pay. And we are ranked, 47th or 48th across the nation in teacher pay. So that's definitely a state advocacy. And I love that our PTAs, along with our North Carolina PTA, can kind of rally around and continue to put the pressure on. What else do you think families need to understand about how education decisions are made in North Carolina? Just your average parent.
Average parent, if you don't advocate for your kids, you're not hurt. And so therefore, there's nothing there. So if there's something that's personally bothering you and your family and your students, you need to let someone know.
Well, let's get some examples, though.
So
what education decisions are being made about my son across North Carolina that I don't realize? Is it curriculum or, zoning? Like, what are things that parents don't even realize are decisions being made for kids that they could influence?
So I definitely think zoning is one. As we talked earlier, CMS being a large school district, the funding is not always put in specific zones. You would say, well, you received Title I money. They're trying to get rid of Title I. So you don't have Title I funds anymore. If you don't have that and you don't have a PTA, I'm not sure what you're going to do at that point in time. So those things are being made. Curriculum, when we talk about curriculum is tough just because we want to push students to excel at a high level. But some students don't excel on the same level. And so we kind of put everyone in like a fishbowl, and you have to be able to survive in that fishbowl. Nutrition, those decisions being made. Students coming to school hungry. If you ever been hungry, they have the Snicker commercials. You see what angry looks like, right? And so that's very important. Sports. When it comes to sports, what does that look like? Students being able to have the opportunity to participate in sports. We know that there's lifelong activities that they can participate in, that they should be participating in. Everyone can't be a basketball player or a football player, but there's, learn how to swim. I played tennis in college, learn how to play tennis. Those are long life activities that you can participate in. Let's see, what else? Just parent engagement, how to be the best parent that you can be, you know what I'm saying? Giving opportunity for mental health type of situations. That's a lot of decisions that's being made on the federal and state level on what does that look like when we talk about students and how that impacts their day-to-day life. So those are some of the examples. I hope I answered those questions.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So what's at stake right now at the state level?
Well, at the state level, there's a lot of money going a lot of different other places, different places that are not hitting our school buildings on a public level. And so when we talk about being able to provide and support, like I said, everyone is not a Title I. So you say Title I, and we can talk about this on the other hand, but you take Title I, you get the funds from the federal government, and it supports a lot. But a lot of those funds are now being pushed to other opportunities for private schools, for charter schools, and charters are sometimes considered as public schools. But those funds are being dispersed somewhere else. And so if they're not given to our schools, our public schools, then what are we supposed to do? Because they're not giving it to the teachers, as I just fussed about just a few minutes ago. So what are we using the funds for? And so that's what's at stake at this point in time.
Thank you so much. The bell is ringing, class, so we will see you on the other side.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with the Community Classroom. Community perspectives, school success stories, and education insight you can use. Only on WSIC.
Well, it's another cold one around the lake overnight. Under a mostly clear sky, temperatures will fall into the upper 20s, and the wind should start to lay some. For our Tuesday, it's still another cool day. Not quite as windy, but high temperatures still don't make it out of the 40s, upper 40s for the afternoon. By Wednesday, we'll approach the 60s again, bringing our chance for rain once again by Thursday. That's your forecast from the Surf Pickleball and Kitchen on WSIC. Meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here's your WSIC Community Calendar.
Mooresville Community Children's Theater presents Honk Jr., the joyful musical retelling of The Ugly Duckling, filled with humor, heart, and messages about self-confidence and celebrating what makes you different. Catch performances February 28th at 1 and 4 p.m. and March 1st at 2 p.m. at the Joe V. Knox Auditorium in Mooresville. It's a perfect live theater outing for families. Learn more and get tickets at mooresvillechildrenstheater.org.
If your weekend plans include browsing, sipping, and maybe leaving with a stack of new reads, Fred and June's Books is celebrating the grand opening of its new Main Street location on February 28th from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 162 North Main Street in downtown Mooresville. The day includes mystery gift cards, free stickers, a golden ticket giveaway, mimosas, and more. There's something for book lovers of all ages. Details are available at fredandjunesbooks.com.
And while you're planning ahead for spring, reality is it's also time to think about summer. The second annual Summer Camp Expo takes place February 28th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Charles Mack Citizen Center in Mooresville. Meet local camp providers, explore sports, arts, science, and specialty programs, and compare day and overnight options all in one place. Admission is free, and it's the easiest way for families to plan the best summer ever. Find more information through the Town of Mooresville Parks and Recreation or at mooresvillenc.gov.
For even more local events, family activities, and things happening around Lake Norman, visit liveworkplaylkn.com.
That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
Order up. The Serve Pickleball Plus Kitchen in Cornelius is where sport and food are paired perfectly with philanthropy. Come play, dine, celebrate, and connect. No membership required. All ages welcome. Eat, play, serve it forward. Visit theservepickleball.com.
We're back with more The Community Classroom, breaking down what's happening across Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools with Dr. Charlitta Hatch, right here on WSIC.
Welcome back, class. And if you can believe it, we are almost at the end of our day. We have covered a lot, and I think it's important to know that there's so much at stake in our education system right now. And we want to make sure that our families understand that, not just with making sure that we advocate for teacher pay so that we have a high-quality teacher in front of our students, but also just the nuggets that you gave on the types of decisions that are being made related to nutrition, mental health, curriculum on our kids' behalf every day. And if we're not leaning in and advocating and asking those critical questions, then someone's making decisions for our kids on our behalf. So thank you for that. So we're going to move into rapid fire. So are you ready, Dr. Wray?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Get ready. So one thing every parent should know about advocacy.
So schools don't belong to a system. They belong to the community. And advocacy is where it starts. And so everything that we know and when you're going to advocate for your kids, it starts with you. And so if you can't, you have to advocate for your kid. This rapid fire, my bad. I had a parent send me a message today. I said, thank you for advocating for your kids today. And that's all I sent there. And they said, thank you, Dr. Wray, for sending me that message back. You have to advocate for your kids, and it starts there with your kids. Your kids, you have to advocate for your kids, and then you can start supporting other kids.
I love that. Schools do not belong to a system. They belong to the community.
Yes.
So one thing every teacher should know about families.
All families are different. If you have a family, you kind of know, but if you don't have a family of kids, you will learn eventually. But yes, all families are different, and you have to take you have to take each family different. And the one thing that I always say to my teachers, do not take it personal. Do not take anything personal. This is your job. Do not take it personal. Please do not take it personal.
One thing every board member should remember.
That they're here for service, that this is not their job to become great. This is a service position, and so they need to serve their community.
One mistake families make when trying to engage.
Doing too much. They're doing too much. And say the same thing to the parents. Don't take it personal. The teachers doing their best. Don't take it personal. Have a communication, build relationships with the teacher, and then things will work out.
So one action families can take this month.
This month. So we're about to head into March, so we're getting ready for Read Across America. So all parents, let's go ahead and find a book and sign up to read to your child's classroom.
And what if I can't make it to the class?
If you cannot make it to your classroom, give some books to the classroom for reading. Yes.
So how...
Or find me, find Dr. Ray, and I'll come read to your child's classroom.
Oh, so let's reiterate that offer.
Yes,
if
that's
you
offer.
are unable to show up physically during the school day, Dr. Ray will come and read to your child.
My presence will be a present.
Yes, I love that.
That is.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Keep on giving.
How can busy parents engage meaningfully?
This is a tough one because I'm very busy too. I sit on like 1,000 boards. I feel like that. And sometimes you do have to take a step back. But the one thing that is to make sure that you're communicating with your school. And that's from the principal to the teachers, and make sure that they know who you are. So if you're not able to be present, make sure that they know who you are. And that's through communication. And so make sure your communication is there. One of the sayings that I like to use, the lack of communication allows for negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And so make sure that your communication is on point.
I love that, because I think sometimes there is pressure, especially I think in today's society where a lot of families are, if they're a single family, they're working. If they are, dual family, they're working. And sometimes it feels like, to me, as a mom myself of an elementary student, that it's kind of designed for parents that back in the day. And I don't know the answer of how do we reshape and reframe what engagement looks like. Because if you're not able to be in the actual school building because you're working to provide, other ways that you can meaningfully engage. I'll give you an example about the book fair. I was like, why can't I take this box home and unwrap it and bring it back? Did I have to be here and cut the workday short? And I just don't know. Are y'all talking about any of those types of strategies?
So we have had those conversations in reference to those families that are not able. And, you and I, we've been blessed to be present. But for those that are not, I think the biggest thing is that being able to at least meet your teacher once. Like I said, if there's a championship basketball game, we will find a way. So I just want parents to at least find one time to meet with the teacher, and have that conversation. Say, listen, this is my schedule. I'm not able to be here. What can I do to support you outside of that? And if you can have that conversation one time, then you are being engaged. You're being a part. No one's asking you to be there every day. As long as you're reading at home and you're doing the work at home. And if you're not able to do that, because I know some work third shift, that's like a third shift that gets in the way. What can I put in place for my child to be successful? But I want the same energy. I want the same energy when it comes to sports, because I know I'm all basketball game. I'm gonna be there too. Football gonna be there, but I still want the same energy for reading and math, science, Spanish, whatever other courses that I want that same energy too.
And I love that. It made me think about every day we're training for the championship game of our kids' life, even if it's not sports.
Right.
And so the way in which we show up in those practices will definitely impact those outcomes. So if we want to be celebrating with them at whatever their championship is, we got to be right alongside them at practice.
And that's where PTA, just in general, can come in play. You have those one-on-one trainers for different sports. PTA can give you the resources so that you can get those one-on-one training for the reading, the in school type of academics that they need. And so reaching out, going to our website, ncpta.org or the PTA.org, you can get some of those resources that can help you train as you training for the academic component. Yep. And family engagement. Right.
So let's go down like imagination lane. What does a thriving North Carolina public education system look like in 5 years? And I'm going to start. It's going to, one, have our teachers paid what they're worth.
Okay.
And you build off that.
Yeah. So if we get that point, then we're definitely recruiting and retaining the best teachers in the building. I think it all starts with our teachers and their investment into their students. I've seen so many teachers that I'm like, man, you're a great teacher. And 2 seconds, they're gone. So I want those teachers to stay, retain them, and they just bringing so many students along. And you're just like, oh, man, they've got another student, got another champion, got another champion, got another champion, from reading to math to any other academic levels that they are. So that's the first thing, is to retain those teachers that are great. The second component would definitely get my dads in the building. I need my males in the building. We need to be strong. One thing that we talk about with school safety, that you see, if you see a male presence, a lot of people scared to come into the building and be like, I ain't got time to be dealing with a bunch of guys in the building. And so that's why I want my dads to find a way to be in the building if they can. Because it's a safety component that you don't know, but people don't want to deal with a bunch of dudes in the building. And so dads would be a part. The ladies taking care. Ladies are the best. Guys, I just got to tell you, you know what I'm saying? The ladies do take care of the business, but when seeing male presence, that would be a part of it. And so we have that engagement. And then the third component would be just a relationship in the community, so that the schoolhouse is not just a schoolhouse, but we're out in the community. We're doing things in the community to help those in need. So.
I love that, because I think it's actually the things that you put forth around retaining the best and the brightest teachers, having, parents, male or female, right, engaged in the ways that they can be to train for that championship. And then to have the community wrap their arms around the schools. Those seem like things that we could do tomorrow. Besides the pay.
When I run it, outside the pay, but when I run into individuals, they will say, well, Charlotte is not the same Charlotte because we don't have that communication. I mean, that community feel anymore. Like you go from this school to that school to that school to that school. And so I think that the community wrapping around that community, I do see it at West Charlotte. I see that it's coming back on that school. Dubsy represent. I do see that's coming back, but that community feel, I remember those days growing up off Batesford Road. Everybody knew Dub C. And so I'm starting to see it at West Charlotte again, but I think every school should have that same feel.
I love that. And I think that just the charge to the community is to also find a way to lean in to the schools, whether you have a student there or not. And thank you, Dr. Leroy Wray, for joining us today, all the way from North Carolina PTA.
Yes, right.
And just remember, schools don't exist without families, and families deserve clarity, respect, and a real seat in the conversation. So thank you all for logging in with us today. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected, and remember, learning is something we do together. See y'all.
Thank you.
Great radio doesn't end here. Catch the full episode and dive into our archives on the WSIC News app.
WSIC 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM, Statesville, Lake Norman's home for local talk radio. WSIC, local, starts here.